Hello everyone. Welcome to this special PentaBAR. I'm Cyril de Lasperi. I'm Cyril. Let's do it again. I'm Cyril de Lasperi, explorer of digital transformation, head of company culture at Pentalog, and host of this quite exceptional webinar. Why exceptional? Because we are lucky enough to have with us tonight a special guest, François Sylvain, digital CTO of Havaianas, the world leader in flip-flop, which is funny to say, just flip-flop. Havaianas, which belongs to the Brazilian textile giant Alpargatas. To lead what I hope will be a frank and useful conversation for everyone, I'm also pleased to welcome Frédéric Lanier, the head of Pentalog. For those who don't know Pentalog, it's a company, a French company at the beginning, but now worldwide group, which provides extended and managed teams for great startups and corporations, and collaborate continuously on over 250 projects all over the world, digital projects, of course. So, how are you, my friends?
Very well, and you?
Yeah, I'm happy to be here and happy to hear the music of the show again.
Yeah, I'm very happy to talk to you too. It's been a long time, François. I remember. We'll talk about that later. So today we are going to talk about de-risk. That is to say that is in this time of uncertainty, volatility, it's difficult sometimes to find the right IT profiles. So how can a CTO of an international brand both secure the business and innovate continuously to maintain the growth of the business? That's a very important question. So it's a pleasure to welcome a CTO who innovates and who, through his career, has been also able to show, and still today, at the king of the flip-flop, Havaianas, that there are original solutions which, in the end, were real risks taken. So, François, before joining Havaianas, you were the CTO of Coravin. It's a company, for those who don't know, which developed the glass system, who allows you to serve and enjoy your favorite wines, glass after glass, anytime, without having to remove the cork. Quite smart. This is where you worked with Pentalog, and it's also when we met the first time, you and me, like 6 years ago. Now you are the digital CTO of Havaianas. Can you tell us the small or big differences between these two companies and the scope of your responsibility today and the big project that keeps you busy today? Yeah, it's a big question for the beginning.
Yeah, so thank you to having me. Really happy to be part of this webinar. So I am today the head of what we call Alpatech. So Alpatech is the regroupment of all the IT and development team globally at Havaianas. And I'm leading the international part. So I am the digital CTO for international. What that means? That means that I'm covering everywhere except Brazil. So it's a pretty large scope. It's a pretty large company. We are present in more than 100 countries today. So it's a kind of global company today. But my role is really focused on supporting the development, the digital transformations in Europe and in the US mostly, even if we are doing a lot of things in APAC too. Big difference with Coravin. Coravin was also global in terms of footprint, but way smaller in terms of business and complexity. Havaianas, it's a very old company. Alpargatas, it's a very old company and very large corporate in Brazil. And we are way more startup or small businesses, I would say, in international. So we have to manage this complexity of a big corporates that have to work with the smaller companies that have to be fast and agile. So this complexity is kind of my role. I am the links between global and the regions, and making sure that we have consistent approach on our IT, consistent strategy and visions and transformations on IT.
Wow, and where are you based, like located?
So today I'm in Spain, but normally I'm living in Boston, and my role is with international, so I am in between both regions and global. But I'm based in the US in general.
And how many people in the group and how many people in your team?
So in the group globally, it's actually a large group. We have something that's 17,000 people, but out of these 17,000 people, there is maybe 15,000 people that are working in the factory. We are very vertical. We produce everything that we sell. So we have very large factory in Brazil. The biggest one is, I think, something like 8,000 people. It's a city actually. So in the, I would say, management part and organization part, we have something like 2,000 people, 150 in Europe, 80, I think, something like that in US, so smaller in US, and again 30 or 50 people in Hong Kong. Pretty large corporate. And in IT directly, so it really depends on the region. So in Europe, we have maybe 10 to 20 people. In US, it's 5 to 10. And in APAC is 1 or 2 people, so it's very small. But we rely on a lot of resources. We'll come to this in a moment, but we rely on a lot of resources in Brazil. That is for me outsourcing, but you will see that it's kind of internal outsourcing, I will say, but we'll come to this.
Like how, and then I will ask a question to Frederic. Don't worry, Frederic, I'm coming back.
Don't worry.
So in this team in Brazil, you have like how many people? Like
so we have so historically we had a global IT team that is maybe something like 100 people globally that are managing everything that from infrastructure, security, cloud services, and business applications that are mostly around ERP, SAP, and a lot of integrations modules and order management and logistic modules. So that was the core. But we did, the company did a big, bold move almost 18 months ago by buying a web development agency or digital agency that is based in Brazil. And today we have around 200 to 300 developers, digital developers that are joining the group and working for us in our digital transformation. So globally today, maybe the IT is around 400 to 500 people globally.
So you are the head of that.
Yeah, so it's it's a large footprint, and we have a lot of topic and a lot of subject. And the real difficulty is the difference of maturity, because as a large corporate, they put in place processes that are for large corporate, and ideally we want to apply that at the level of our company in regions, but sometimes it's too heavy, too complex, not agile enough. So we have to adapt that. So there is a lot of complexity on this.
Okay.
But just to add, my focus in terms of technology, I would say, is 3 things. It's everything's about the e-commerce infrastructure, martech infrastructure, and making sure that the process and organization are in place to grow faster our e-commerce. The second part is the business application. So we have a big project in ERP part and things like that. And the last part is about logistics. That is really the core of what we do. Okay, we are a distributor. We take product in Brazil and we put them in the market in regions. So logistics is absolutely critical for us. We have to be perfect. So a lot of projects are on logistics.
Last small question. What is the part of e-commerce in the scope?
So it depends on the regions. In US, it's almost 20% this year. Our own e-commerce, because if you take digital, because we include Amazon, everything that is D2C sell are in e-commerce, digital, and that represent more than 50% of our business today. But our e-commerce is 20% of our business in US. It should be 16 to 17% in Europe. In Brazil is very small, because in Brazil we are everywhere, and so the e-commerce is you have to be sick in your bag to not be able to buy flip-flop around the corner. So it's a very small part of the business.
Okay, so Fred, you worked a lot with François. What do you think of this new challenge for him? Because it's a big change.
Yeah, it is. It's true that when we met some years ago in Boston, at the time being, yeah, it was when Francois was at Coravin, and Coravin was about was like something almost brand new. I think it was almost brand new when you joined. It was not you did not arrive at the first day in the first days, but it was still a very young company when you joined. And I think it was still young when Pentalog started to help them, and it was, we can say, Francois, very easily that and to simplify things, that it was like a product company. It was everything around the product. So meaning that, as Francois said, it was that doesn't mean it's easy to make, but what he had to do at the time was to help building a product, find people to accompany accompany the growth of the company, both on e-commerce and but still very much around one product, one thing. It was a one thing company in a way. While here it's a full transformation that you have to that you have to accompany. So I think in many ways the situation is completely different for those knowing our industries. And Francois said, you said the word, it's about complexity. When you go into transforming something that exists for decades and maybe more, I don't know exactly about the story of the group, but you have to embrace all. It's like having a whole story, an aggregation of different periods of time into one company, and you have to understand all that and make it and make it work together, and try to simplify it, and try to rebuild it. Very often, and give a transformation to tackle with the new digital and agile world. So I imagine it was very different story.
Yeah, and but so absolutely, I think when we met at Coravin, first thing, there was no real IT organizations per se, so I really take that in hand. And in e-commerce, we was relying to 100% to web agency. So the problem was, okay, we don't know that, so give it to them and they will do it. At the end, it was very expensive, not agile, and more important, not performance oriented. So it's when we met and we organized this differently. We try to have a development team and capability in digital that help us to grow our e-commerce site, develop a mobile app, but we kept the strategy and visions, and we kept also the performance accountability, I would say, and we put in place the hacking growth methodology, and all of this was working together. But at the scale of Coravin, it was relatively simple because everything was kind of new, and we have to develop from scratch. Yeah. The situation is very different because of the story. So as you said, Alpargatas, it's a company that is a large corporate in Brazil, but even in the regions, these corporates that are existing from long time, and they have technology in place that are start to be old, but that are the core of what we do. Okay, so replacing this technology is not an easy thing anyway. And I would say thinking about how we will transform this technology, because it's not just to replace one component that is not working by another. It's really have the visions of what we need today, but what we will need tomorrow. And at the speed of everything changing all time, it's a real challenge, because these transformations have to take in considerations what we have in place and our complexity today, and making sure that we keep business going, and at the same time putting in place progressively the elements that will drive these transformations and will put the company in a place that is the future and our future growth and our future strategy. And that was complicated, very complicated, and I think so. We had to have this kind of bold move that to acquire a large group of people, and not just people, actually, people methodology, agile methodology, innovation methodology, designer. So all of these organizations to enable us to really, pass this step of all technology and all process in place to something that can be new in a rapid way.
François, yes, but sorry to interrupt because you're telling all the story, but for the people who maybe missed the beginning, so you decided to integrate like 200 people at the same time, which is quite a big move, as you said, a risk also, where before you were more like used to grow slowly and to take time. So you just said because you want to be fast. Was it your idea? How did it happen?
Yeah, so actually, let me rewind a little bit. As I told you, Alpargatas, it's a pretty old company. It's the oldest company at this Brazilian stock option. So it's a very old company, and we had tons of different transformations. But we had a very key moment in 1962 when they invent the flip-flop in rubber. Okay, so that is when they invent Havaianas, and the company completely changed and progressively only focus on this and develop these things, but mostly in Brazil. What's happened in 2018, they the big bank in Brazil buy out Havaianas and replace the management with the vision that we can re-energize this brand and have an aggressive growth, especially in international. Okay, but so they put new management in place, new visions in place. They change a lot of things in Brazil, but also in the regions. It's when I came also on board to drive this kind of transformation. But the problem was that between the visions we had at this time, the capabilities, the technology we have in place at this time, and where we would like to go and go fast, the gap was huge, and it was not only skill, because we had very competent people, but they didn't have this digital mindset. They didn't have this agile methodology in mind. They was working a lot in a traditional IT world with waterfall approach, with a lot of projects that have to be financed with a clear ROI, not really learn and test and things like that. So all of these competencies that you need if you want to be rapid in digital transformation, and more important, successful in digital transformations, we did not have it. So here it was, okay, can we rely on external supplier and be able to build this outsourcing company or build this outsourcing relationship, and how long it will take to get there, and without the internal expertise, I will say it will be even more difficult, because when you don't know, it's very difficult to manage a partner. That is one of the things that I learned in my life is to well manage a partner. You need to have some skill internally that understand what they do, so you can help them to go to the right direction. So to be on total transparency, I was not part of these decisions, and it surprised me. And it was really, for me, a very bold decisions for a retailer. I didn't have any example of this before. They decide to do this big move and to buy this web development agency that was bringing all this expertise, people, skill, methodology, design thinking methodology, innovations, designer, agile methodology everywhere. And they decide to say, okay, we need to do this transformation. We need to do it fast. Let's do it, and not going at a very slow pace. Let's try to do it. Big risk.
That probably means that the company has also kept over time a strong entrepreneurship spirit to take such decisions.
So this transformation from entrepreneurship spirit, that I think has been initiated when they buy out the company and put a new management in place. The executive level had these visions of we can reboot this company and develop it way faster, and so the people at this level have these visions, and the result of this is actually the decision to buy this company. So yes, they have this entrepreneurship visions, and they have this kind of startup visions for a group like this.
That's what I think.
But it was still a risk. Yeah, sorry.
No, sorry. I thought you had finished. But Frédéric, what do you think about this? Of course, it's quite rare to get such a big team at the same time. Does it happen sometimes?
First of all, I think we need to say kudos, congrats everyone for achieving such transformation and for you to be the pilot in this environment, because I think that looking back to the first question on how was the change between Coravin and here, it was for you like coming from mostly CTO agenda, CTO maybe 70% CTO, 30% CIO, and here it's probably the contrary, and not so many people are capable of really doing that. So first of all, congrats for that. No, about this move. Really, my opinion is that in such moments when you want to fulfill a big gap like that, to make a giant leap like that, so you need indeed a real big bang. So it's probably something that team with that very strong entrepreneurship spirit understood, and they understood that they needed to activate a digital DNA inside, an agile DNA inside, and that the only way to do that was probably to acquire a company. So you might imagine, Cyril, that as the CEO of an outsourcing company, I could be strongly against that kind of strategy. But no, really, here I think it was really the necessity and the and the decision to make in this context. That doesn't mean that I think that you could do 100% of what you have to do this way, because you need to be sometimes helped for some questions, because there are new strategies initiated at some different moment. There are new technologies that you need to embed in the company and to sparkle into the company and spread into the company. That sometimes you need some help from the external. But about the decision to really how can I say to really initiate that new period of time, that new era, that new digital slash agile era into the company, I think it was the best decision to make. Because they have, if I understand well, there was no one digital inside the company before that decision really.
Very few competencies on really a digital world, and so yes, you're right on what you said. So meaning that it was, I think, the best way to get where we want to be fast, and that start to pay off. We see it already. Okay, so it's we are now 18 months after this big bang, and I can tell you that the effect that we have, especially on the e-commerce side, but also on the analytics side, and also on we have a lot of projects that are in innovations and incubations, actually, for future customer experience and customer relationship, that coming from there. Okay, we are doing a lot of design thinking and things like that. So we see already that payoff. That being said, as any company, they are not covering 100% of our needs. We need still to have some very competent, specific competency, very specific skill on a certain technology, especially also on our history. So we can't just shut down one place and open the other. We need to make that working together. So we continue to outsource and to require expertise and specific competencies external, and we will continue to do it, and we'll continue to do that, because I think the mistake that we should not do going forward is to say by default is always working with this branch because of cost efficiency. Okay, so it's I understand that finance will always say that why we are not working internally, because for them it's smart, I would say, but that would be a mistake, because there is expertise and competencies that we need to source externally, and there is innovations that coming all time, and we will have to be on the top of it. You know, good example right now, what's, you know, I'm focusing a lot is ChatGPT. ChatGPT for us can be a game changer in marketing.
Yeah.
Okay, it's on the market since 3 months. So I guarantee you that we don't have a team of GPT expert in house. So we have to build this expertise and find this expertise where we need, and develop new competencies. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think, like, looking at the numbers, between 200 and 300 people, it's not yet enormous for a company of that size, aiming at becoming a real digital brand. It's still relatively small compared to lots of other companies. I think I'm now making a reference to one of our other customers, which is Adidas, which is somehow in the same domain. If we would look at the number of people involved into all the IT teams slash digital teams of the company, I think the rate is still much higher than yours, despite the enormous number of outsourcing companies connected, consultants connected to Adidas. So in itself, that number of people is not is really okay, and could grow and could still grow, but you could also accompany it indeed with experts on some new topics, as you just mentioned it.
Yeah, and you're completely correct. You know, these things is, you know, it's like a positive circle, you know, because now that we have these capacities that open opportunities that nobody thinks about before. Okay, and so somewhere we said, oh, great, we pass a gap, and now we have this competency and we can do things, and we started to do things, and we start to see the results, and now is, oh, but if we can do that, why don't do this now? And why don't go far? And why don't do new things that we was not able to do? You know, especially, for example, in omni-channel, in digitalizations of our store, and creating a cross channel experience between our store and our e-commerce, and developing new touch point with our customer, developing new way to pay. So there is million things that we open because of this capacity, and then come back to the square one, because we see all this opportunity and this capacity, but then we need to have expertise, competency, help from external. So you know, it's a journey. Digital transformations, you know, it's not a good. It's a journey, and you always have something else to do. And talking about de-risking is also that. It's also being able to find the right components, I would say, you know, the right solutions to solve a specific problem, and build on it, and you can't just rely on one supplier, because for me this company is a supplier for me in Brazil, and we need to find another angle, another approach to develop these innovations, and try and learn and test and develop new capability.
And how do you manage to keep the challenge on those internal teams? Because I think that the risk is like a wheel; it's something which is turning like constantly, and so the risk of yesterday is not the risk of tomorrow. So yesterday it was to not be able to tackle with the digital era by lack of internal resources and culture, but tomorrow it's maybe by lack of challenge on the internal team. So how will you manage that?
Yeah, so I think we are not there at this problem. It will come, I think, but we are not there at this
I'm
problem.
sure,
So much
and I know
do,
you. I'm sure it's not for tomorrow.
but I think it's that is also something that this company brings. Also, is this kind of constant, you know, what you are doing well also at Pentalog, I have to say, is this constant keeping people, you know, updated and driving their career. It's clear that at one point of time, it's more difficult for a solution like this to find new opportunity for everyone, because unfortunately we are not on the world. We are focused on something. So we can have this erosion that coming. We are not there at this stage, but it's something that can come. That certainly company like Pentalog or Outsourcer in general can manage better and keep their talent and replace this talent faster. I think it's something that you can do better. That certainly these settings, just because the scope of what we do and the scope of what we want to do is at the end of the day finish on a certain boundaries that you may not have as an outsourcer.
And François, because this is a good side, but what kind of problems did you meet? Like, was it easy? Everything was easy to integrate these people?
I wish. No, I think so. So first things is not without risk. Okay, it was a big bold change, and certainly the first big problem that we had to face was the change management. And I will say even more the culture change management, okay? Because Targetas is a manufacturer, very focused on producing product verticalized. So from mixing the rubber to building the product and shipping this product, sending overseas, putting on the market, selling that. So very vertical, very focused, very optimized for large volume. We are creating 260 million pair of flip-flop per year. Okay, so a machine. And then you come with a web digital team that the culture is about innovation, it's about digital, it's young people that came with a completely new way to think, new way to organize their work, new way to actually work in groups and community. And you want to make successful that actually was kind of how we do that. And this part of the change management, I think, is still in progress, to be honest. In certain organizations, we did a lot of progress, and I think this mentality of digital and mentality of works to digital transformations start to really diffuse everywhere. But it has been a long work, and it's still in progress, and we still continue to improve that and making sure that people are working well together, understand their problems and why we want to work like this and what's the impact of it. So that was the first very big problems. Second problem is also, especially in international, I would say we had technology and we have problematics that are specific to us and not necessarily represented in Brazil, because we have a specific integration, specific way to work, specific things. And so we have some skills that was not there. So we had also to work on this and making sure that either we can complete this skill or develop this skill internally. And that was also a big challenge and things that we have to do. We did that a lot for our own Salesforce Commerce Cloud. We had pool of developers that was very front-end user experience, but not much back-end, not much on the customizations of the processes and things like that. And we have to get expertise on this and recruit people on these particular topics and things like that. So, it's a journey. We are going fast. It's a lot of change. Some people are not very comfortable with this kind of change because it changes the way that they have to work. But I think as we have a top-down decisions, when you buy also, what thing is sure also is when you buy a company and you put a lot of skin on the game, you have the support of the top organizations. Okay, so is there a top-down push that make maybe things a little bit easier because these transformations is really a corporate decisions, and it's not a nice thing that the CTO would like to do. It's really key pillar of our development and key pillar of our strategy.
And you talked about ChatGPT. Are you watching the Web3 and like the metaverse?
So yes,
and all these?
So just to say, for us, the future for us is certainly deep analytics, artificial intelligence, deep learning, all of these kind of things that can help us to better understand or better optimize our operation, our performance, better understand our customer, better target our customer, personalize everything. So all of these things is really about, now that we start to have the capability to interact well with our customer and make them happy and make them coming back. Now we want to make sure that we understand that and we optimize everything to maximize the profitability and maximize also the customer service that we can deliver. That is one part of it. I was talking about ChatGPT because, you know, one of the frontiers that we have as any manufacturer is the content generations. Okay, making sure that we are able to deliver the content, the right quality of content everywhere for all our product. It's a big problem because it's a lot of works. This kind of things can help us a lot to not necessarily automatically generate this content, but at least enable the content manager to go faster and go better because the fundamentals that they get from these tools can be a better level and a better quality. So it's something that we are looking at today. In the metaverse, we have experiences, mostly in Brazil. This team did work on we create an universe, NFT universe. So we have some tests on this in Brazil, principally, but it's something that we want to test in US and test in Europe. So yeah, we can do innovation like this now.
Working with product personalization, the metaverse and the NFT.
So no, we have also personalizations capability now. We develop some capacity from mobile apps to productions to be able to customize on demand, print on demand things. It's fairly complicated because of the production part of it, but we are working on this. And on the metaverse, we are looking at different things. Okay, so we are looking at how we can create NFT product. Okay, so does that make sense? Create universe where we can play. For example, we did a test last year with I forget the name of the game.
Which sport?
Oh gosh, okay, I will not remember the name, but anyway, we create an environment. So we create an Havaianas island in the game, so people can play here and do things like that. So we are trying a lot of things to see what works, because to be honest, the metaverse look very attractive, but what works is not clear yet. Okay, so
that's the point.
So we are testing different things, but that is also something that this company bring to us, is this capability to have some people that are just dedicated to do some research and test and learn on technologies that are far from us, but useful. And if we can deploy it, we'll do it.
And Fred, what kind of skills do the company ask these days? Are they talking about this kind of skills?
We could say, in a way, yes. For some of them, yes. I think there are two Web3s. You have the metaverse on one hand and the NFT and the blockchain on the other hand. So metaverse is probably, so even if not yet clear what you could do with it, but there are lots of industries which are really looking at metaverse for becoming a testing environment, a training environment, and lots of things to be done like that. So I was trying to make a link between the possibility of personalization of products, for instance, and NFT to finally help people make their own product, protect their creations, etc., into Havaianas metaverse, for instance. So metaverse definitely. The rest, for now, the rest of the Web3 is probably even more to investigate, to find what you could do with it. But for the metaverse, yes, we clearly start to see expectations from customers. We do have projects also in the rest of the Web3 with in particular with blockchain and the crypto space, but probably we have to be honest, not at the same, unfortunately, not at the same speed we knew before pre-crisis. I mean, so lots of Web3 projects today are finally hit by the new context, and lots of startups are really struggling finding money.
Mm. And
yeah, so that is reality. I think one of the certainly things that will slow a little bit the innovations right now is certainly the market situation globally. We see that people are febrile, I would say. So this kind of deep innovations, I would say, automatically it's the first that are in line. But still, we are working on this different topic. And I was at New York at the National Retail Federation show in New York earlier, and there was a lot of startup on metaverse, Web3 solutions, blockchain, especially on the everything's about counterfeit and things like that. So there is plenty of things that coming in the retail world, I would say, but it's not yet mainstream, and I'm not sure that we yet get completely what will be the winner.
Let's say that it's not today's priority for lots of companies at the moment, especially in the retail space.
So you said that. I was on the point to ask you, Fred and François. I heard that the retail space is not like very good these days.
Very healthy. Yeah.
So
it's So what we see as manufacturer, I would say, is that people are just in a kind of waiting positions, meaning that we, especially in US, I think there is things already of coming back. Okay, so we see that the inflation start to go lower, and so we see that they are in a kind of, okay, let's see how the beginning of the year goes, and so then we can come back to normal. So it's half full or half empty, right now, but we can navigate with that. Okay?
Yeah, I think the question is: it the normal of 21, beginning of 22, or is it the normal pre-pandemic? Which normal are we talking about?
Yes, that is a good question. That is a very good question. For us, it depends where. So, for example, in US, the COVID has a big impact on our retail part because we close a lot of stores in US because there is no point to get the store. So a lot of activities goes online. So we develop a lot of our e-commerce, and today it's more balanced. A little bit different in Europe because we actually they don't have the same effect on the store itself. So it's a there is the COVID changed a lot of things, and what is the normal? It's maybe also part of what's happened today. What is the new normal?
No, but we have indications, we have signs shown by some of the giants of the tech industry in general. It looks like they are taking decision to probably come back to the normal of 2019. If you look, the decisions that they are making, they are not killing all the growth. They are not killing all the growth they made between the pandemic and now. They are making decisions like saying, okay, we downside the company by 10%. And if you look, they grew so much, they have grown so much between the pandemic and now that actually this decision is is really kind of those decisions are at the end of the day quite limited. So it's probably a normal which is somewhere between pre-pandemic and post-pandemic.
And they also not necessarily, get rid of IT people, actually.
Yes,
developer.
absolutely.
I was talking with someone at Facebook, and I don't know if it's true. I don't know if we can disclose that, but what he told me is actually most of the people that they get rid of was in the administration side, okay, recruitment and things like that, and so that means that yes, there is rebalance, and they need certainly less, for example, capability of recruitment today because they are full of people, and so it looks like there is a lot of slowing down, but it's not so evident right now. And I have to say that for us, the demand for our product right now is very high for this season. We are in January. January for us in flip-flop, it's not our best month, we'll say, but actually our demand is very high. We did an exceptional December, so there is what we hear on the market and everything, and what we feel, so it's a balance. It's not easy.
You should think of creating a flip-flop index.
Yes, exactly. keep everyone optimistic.
To show how people if people are optimistic or not. If we sell flip-flops in the world, that means people are optimistic.
Because people want to see their feet. That's why. So we are almost at the end. So my last question for you, François, is what is your big challenge for 2023? And I will ask you the same question, Fred.
So again, it's we have some big project. We have ERP transformations here in US. We have big growth to reach in e-commerce. We believe that we can do a very, very big year in e-commerce in Europe and in US. So a big challenge there. So it have to be supported by technology developer capability that we need to be able to deploy, to learn and test very, very quickly. So that is very important for us. And logistic is always logistic for us. If we can't deliver the product at the end of the customer or the end of the retailer at the right time, at the right moment, then we lose the sale. So for us, that is it's a kind of always on and always critical, and improving that is something that we always have to do.
All right, thank you, François. Frédéric. Yeah, for us, I think it will be two things. First of all, we have to accompany, to work together, to work very close to our market, listen to our customers a lot. Some of them are suffering a bit in this situation. Some others are very strong in the moment, and we need to adapt to every situation. And it's sometimes not easy. So for lots of them, finally had onboarded lots of internal resources. Sometimes a bit too much. And finally too many risks internally, and we have to help them understand that flexi growth is also a great alternative for the future, and especially if the context is probably I don't want to say worse. There is nothing so bad in the context, actually, by the way. It's lots of exaggerations when you look at the real situation. It's what François said about US, which is already showing signs of recovery. Today in Europe, they announced beautiful figures on growth in many countries, in the Eurozone also. There is no real recession, but it's true. Nevertheless, there are still some customers navigating in a complex situation. So we have to convince some of them that for the future they should probably balance a little more, which is not the case of François because they started from nothing. So so the situation is completely different. But for lots of others, some of them they really over recruited people internally, and they have not balanced the risk indeed. So we have to convince that for the future they should probably balance a little more between the internal and the external to avoid being in strategic internal conflicts with that. So it's a point one. Accompany this specific momentum. Also prepare for the future. Some of our customers will take decision, are taking decision to maybe to reduce their to reduce the speed, but finally they will have to come back very quickly later on. So we need to help them understand understand what they should do and how they should tackle with this complex environment, with a first slowdown and probably a reacceleration coming later on in the year. Some of our customers also simultaneously accelerating a lot. And we need to be to work alongside with those one as well. Especially we need to deliver some large brands which are really growing their common strategy with Pentalog, and it's indeed something that we have to do. We have more and more contracts with several millions delivery, and we need to help that growth. So it's going to be a little more complex than 21, 22, which was only about resources. It was years for resources, and now it's years for context. It's probably the two next year for about the context with companies, with some companies exposed and some other less. We are for the first time, for instance, our customers in the SaaS industry, they are for the first time really exposed to potential slowdown. It's strange for them. It's really strange. It's weird for cloud companies to see that. In my view, it's probably the pandemic probably accelerated the cycle of the digital economy, and we are now coming back to, as we said one or two times in this show, we are coming to a new normal, which is not the normal of 19, which is not the normal of 21, which is maybe in between. So so we need to find a new pace. We have to help that world find a new pace and face a momentum which might be a bit bumpy in the first months before finding this new normal.
Thank you, Frédéric, for this analysis. Thank you very much, François.
Thank you. You too.
Very good moment. Maybe you want to have the last word, something to say, something to.
Good night.
Okay.
No, let's go. You should have tapas.
You
should have tapas in Spain.
I didn't have dinner yet, so I will go.
Let's go. You should go for tapas.
So let's go to have dinner. And for the people who are watching, thank you very much. This show will be online tomorrow. And Fred, François, you are now invited to switch off your camera, your sound, everything. You can
go having dinner. See
you. Go back to your life.
Thank you
very much,
Bye-bye.
everyone. Bye.